So hey, my name is Jacob Alvarez. I've been attending Covenant Grove for about 3 years. To just jump right into it, I was born with a major hurdle in life for anybody, and it was a cleft lip and palate. I never knew how tough it was going to be until I would say I reached grade school. A lot of the kids in my classes kind of looked at me funny and said some mean things to me and just made little comments that would always just like sting a little bit. It was even from grade school up until I graduated high school, and maybe even until I attended college a little bit. I grew up in a church. I grew up in a mega church, I should say, so I always felt, even though I had people around me, I always felt a little closed off, because I think I closed myself off a lot from all the bullying that I had gotten from school and just people in general. But a big question I had in my life is, like, why me, God? Like what is the purpose of this? Like, why God? Why put me through such a hard time in my life? And why, after all the nights of me crying and wondering, like, why? Biggest question in my life. But it wasn't up until recently, I would say. We sang New Wine, and it kind of, the line of in the crushing and in the pressing, that it's in the hard times where it kind of molds you and it makes new wine out of you, and it made me a new person. And I prayed for the first time, and I kind of let God in finally. After all the years of walls being built up and surrounded, being cut off by everybody in my life, I could just see it. After me praying to Him, I could picture it, Him breaking down those walls and getting to me. And in that moment, I just felt the biggest release in my life. And I just heard Him tell me, just be the light in everybody's life, and don't worry about what anybody says. If you even see them looking, or if you even hear anything, it doesn't matter. Just love your neighbor. And even now, teaching the kids ministry and teaching those little kids, the biggest lesson that I teach them is just love your neighbor, and love them like you love yourself, and love them the way God tells you to love them. Of course, also like letting God in your heart, but other than that, that's just like my biggest takeaway from my whole life, is just being the light in anybody's lives and teaching that to anybody that's been in a rough spot or is in a rough spot. Just like trusting God, let Him in, even though it's hard to break down those walls. Just let Him in. You'll just have like unlimited joy that you've never felt before. I can't explain it. It's just, I just want to scream it on top of the rooftops and the mountains. It's just, it's the most happiest I've felt in a long time, and I can't thank God enough to just show it to me finally. So a verse that's kind of, I found helped me like just recalibrate whenever I'm still feeling in those spots, because it's still there, but it definitely helps to read this verse from time to time and just let me know that as long as I put my trust into God, everything's just going to be okay. And that verse is, "You can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance." Romans 5:3. All the trials in my life led up to this moment of just pure endurance. Any rough spot that I'm going through, even today, I'll just look back on the verse and it'll help me through anything.